Good morning. Just wanted to share some thoughts this morning. I've been doing my daily process of my shortcuts and my life hacks, and got a really cool message from one of my mentors this morning about getting to the good water. Really resonates with me. I'm an Aquarius. A lot of you guys know my son's an Aquarius, and I'm all about the water. Actually, I'll show you. Excuse my messy kitchen, but you see that big silver thing right there on the countertop? The very special water filter that I use to give me, clean alkaline water. And I'm the kind of person that, I know that because of all of the radical things that I've been through and challenging life experiences, that the good stuff doesn't ever come like cheap or easy, right? And so I'm not like a cheap and easy guy, to be quite basic with how I say it. I was thinking about it recently. I actually shared it in one of my recent, I think it was one of the Tarot by Tribe videos, if I'm not mistaken. It came up, I think it was with one of the fire tribes actually, but it was all about like the process that we go through to come out clean. And in some cases, it's a dirty process to actually come out clean, which doesn't seem really intuitive, but chalk that up to karma and just, how weird life is. What about life isn't weird, right? So, it was a really interesting thought. It just reminded me of some things that I was going through. I kind of grew up in one of those households where I had like one of those really Christian parents that like to tell you everything that you are and do and kind of, give you all the shame treatment, and grew up being really bullied basically in my household. I have another sibling and an overbearing style, dogmatic parent, plus one that was really big that kind of used to scare me, to be honest with you, because of the lack of understanding and awareness of their size and how they were putting upon, small people. And so I will just say that for me, I've realized that anytime I've had to self-correct, it might have felt like extra chastising in some ways, just because of how I was brought up to do that, right? And to be treated. And I guess for me, it's just sort of like a natural understanding that feeling good never came easy. And I don't mean to insist that dogma on anybody. I'm just explaining about my personal life experience. And, that I think was probably really good training, because I've had a pretty difficult life with regard to just situational things that have come up and my own mortality. But it reminded me of something that really stuck in my head that was years and years and years ago when I was learning to walk in my faith. And it was said to me, there was somebody that was in my life at the time that, I don't speak to anymore, but this was one of the finer things that was shared with me that really always made sense. And it's about like the journey that you go to quench that thirst. Where's that place that feels really good? And where are those, feelings inside of you? And what did you have to go through in order to find yourself there? And not only there, but there with such an awareness that you have an appreciation for what it is in that moment, in that exchange, right? That's bringing that serenity. And to get to those places isn't always easy. The video that my mentor shared with me, I'll link it below for anybody that wants to see it. It was really good. And he was talking about the spot that he likes to get out to, this beach, and like what he has to do to actually get to where the really good water is. And it's really hard to get out there, and so a lot of people don't do it, and they never get that good water. And for me, I guess I'd kind of thought about it a different way. It was shared with me a different way, and it just reminded me today about like those times when you're feeling stranded and whatever it is, and it's like you can't catch a break, right? You know, you're looking for something to quench that thirst, and it's like being in the desert. And you know, if you and I can imagine together that we're walking through a desert and we were out of water and all we had was a shovel and we were looking for water, that would be a pretty scary situation, right? And we would need to use our resources in a wise way to get to the good water. And the only way you're going to get the water is to dig a very deep ditch. You know, you're not going to get it by digging a bunch of shallow wells. It's got to be a really deep ditch that you dig to get to that water. And in that process of digging, it's a dirty process. You get your hands dirty. You know, who knows what you're going to go through. It might be painful in some cases to even get to the sweet stuff. And so I guess it just comes to mind for me to question what it is that we value and what we're willing to do to get to that sweet spot. And so I don't know, for me, I'm a dig a deep ditch guy, so I'm going to keep digging my deep well because I did find the water, and I'm the one that'll go to the law and extremes to get it anyway, just because how I was groomed. I told you, you know, I didn't have it too easy. But, you know, for everybody else that maybe isn't used to having to push through so hard on certain thresholds just to break through, part of it might just be tolerance to what the situation is at current, well, you know, keeping your eye on the prize, so to speak. But if it's worth it, sometimes, you know, that journey, as treacherous as it may be, is definitely worth taking. And I guess the key to keep in mind is that where the good stuff is? Because if that's where the good stuff is, if you want it bad enough, you'll be willing to take the steps. So, fresh on my head this morning. I'm going to finish my tea, and I'll get ready to do the DNDD soon. Hope you have a beautiful day.